Greetings, fellow time travelers. Welcome back to Ancient Mystery, where we uncover the hidden mysteries of lost civilizations and dive deep into the secrets that shaped our world. I'm your archaeological guide, ready to take you on another mind-bending journey through the corridors of time. Today's discovery will challenge everything you thought you knew about ancient history. We're about to explore one of the most perplexing mysteries that has haunted historians for centuries. How did the mighty Egyptian civilization, which dominated the ancient world for over 3,000 years, vanish into the shadows of history? Before we unveil these incredible secrets, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Trust me, you don't want to miss the ancient mysteries we're about to reveal. Picture this scene with me. Over 3,000 years ago, the Egyptian Empire stood as the greatest civilization the world had ever known. Massive pyramids pierced the sky, golden treasures filled royal tombs, and pharaohs ruled with divine authority. But here's what will blow your mind. This magnificent civilization didn't collapse overnight in some catastrophic event. Instead, it faded away slowly, piece by piece, like sand slipping through an hourglass. What caused this gradual disappearance? How did a culture that gave us mathematics, medicine, and architectural wonders transform into mysterious hieroglyphs that nobody could read for centuries? Today, we're diving deep into the final chapters of ancient Egypt, and what we'll discover will leave you absolutely amazed. Let's start our journey by understanding the scale of Egyptian greatness. For more than 3 millennia, approximately 180 kings and queens ruled Egypt, divided into 30 royal dynasties. Think about that number for a moment. 3,000 years of continuous civilization. From the moment King Narmer unified all Egyptian territories until the fall of the last pharaohs, Egypt experienced 3 magnificent periods of power and glory, separated by 3 periods of chaos and division. But the real mystery begins when this pattern broke forever. The end of Egypt's greatest era came with the collapse of the New Kingdom and the disintegration of the empire. During what historians call the Third Intermediate Period, something fascinating happened. Foreign elements began infiltrating the land, and some even reached the throne, establishing their own ruling dynasties. We're talking about the 22nd dynasty with Libyan origins and the 25th dynasty with Kushite roots. But here's where it gets really interesting. Even when power returned to Egyptian kings during the late period, these rulers heavily depended on foreign mercenaries in their armies, including Phoenician sailors and Greek warriors. The evidence? King Nectanebo minted Egypt's first gold coins specifically to pay Greek mercenaries. Imagine that. The first Egyptian gold coins weren't for trade or tribute, they were military payroll. Now, pay attention to this pivotal moment in history. The last person to carry the titles of Egyptian pharaohs from local Egyptian kings was King Nectanebo II, the final ruler of the 30th dynasty. He was defeated by the Persian king Artaxerxes III after a long and bitter struggle between the Achaemenid Persian Empire and ancient Egypt that lasted nearly 2 centuries. In 343 BC, Egypt fell under Persian rule. This was one of the nails in ancient Egypt's coffin, but the story doesn't end there. Here's where our tale takes an unexpected turn. Enter Alexander the Great of Macedon, who defeated the Persians and entered Egypt in 332 BC. But Alexander was brilliant in his approach. He presented himself not as a conqueror, but as a liberator who would protect Egyptian culture and religion from Persian oppression. And guess what? His propaganda worked. The ancient Egyptians actually considered Alexander a liberator, not an invader. The priests granted him the titles of the ancient pharaohs and considered him an extension of Egypt's royal lineage. They even gave him the title son of the god Amun. Alexander was so proud of this that he appeared on coins wearing ram's horns, the symbol of Amun. This brings us to an absolutely fascinating period. After Alexander's death, the Ptolemaic dynasty ruled Egypt from the city of Alexandria, which Alexander himself had founded. Now, here's what's truly remarkable about the Ptolemies. Despite their Macedonian origins, they fully adopted the ancient Egyptian religion, took the titles of the old kings, and ruled as Egyptian pharaohs. They dressed like them, followed their customs, built temples to Egyptian gods, and held sacred festivals. This is why historians don't consider King Nectanebo II as the last pharaoh. Instead, they include the Ptolemaic dynasty in the chain of Egyptian royal families. That makes Queen Cleopatra VII the last ruler of the Ptolemaic dynasty, the final person to carry the titles of the pharaohs in Egypt. After Cleopatra's defeat and the Roman conquest of Egypt, the last chapter in ancient Egypt's fall began. Throughout Egyptian history, every period of strength was followed by weakness and decline. Then it would rise again. But with Egypt's fall to Roman invasion in 30 BC, ancient Egypt never rose again. It became crystal clear that the era of pharaoh kings had ended forever, and a tremendous change was sweeping across the world. When Augustus Caesar entered Egypt in 30 BC, he declared it directly subordinate to Rome. For the first time ever, Egypt's ruler wasn't present in the country. Egypt was now governed by officials appointed from Rome. However, for political propaganda, early Roman emperors carved their names and images on temple walls in the form of ancient Egyptian kings offering sacrifices to Egyptian gods. They adopted pharaonic titles, but it was purely symbolic, designed to win the people's loyalty. During this period, Egyptians were influenced by Romans, and the two cultures mixed while preserving Egyptian identity, religion, and language. But everything changed at the beginning of the 4th century AD. The Roman emperors abandoned these traditions and stopped carving their names on temple walls. Emperor Diocletian was the last person in history to carry pharaonic titles and inscribe his name on temples. Some archaeologists believe Emperor Maximian was the last. But either way, from the early 4th century onward, Roman emperors no longer appeared as heirs to Egypt's ancient kings. And here's where the story becomes even more dramatic. A massive transformation occurred in the Roman Empire as Christianity spread throughout its territories. Egypt was among the first regions to embrace Christianity. Despite initial persecution, Christians gained tremendous influence during the 4th century until Emperor Constantine himself converted to Christianity. From that moment, all subsequent emperors were Christian, and a new era of persecution began, this time targeting followers of the old religions, which were labelled pagan, including ancient Egyptian religion. During Emperor Theodosius's reign, Christianity was declared the empire's only official religion, and he ordered the closure of Egyptian temples in 391 AD. A widespread campaign against followers of ancient religions began, with famous incidents like the murder of the philosopher Hypatia of Alexandria. Temples were gradually closed, but instead of destroying them, they were converted into churches, or had parts transformed into churches, like Luxor Temple, Edfu Temple, and Dendera Temple. It appears Christians of that period respected these sacred places' sanctity, preserving them through conversion, which is why they survive today. The last ancient Egyptian temple to close was the Temple of Philae in Aswan during the 6th century, around 537 AD. This temple was dedicated to worshipping Isis and served as the final stronghold for priests and ancient Egyptian religion after centuries of persecution. It closed by order of Byzantine Emperor Justinian and was later converted into a church dedicated to the Virgin Mary. With temples closed and priests dismissed, ancient Egypt ended, with its culture, religion, wisdom and sciences. Hieroglyphic writing and how to read it were gradually forgotten, and inscriptions on walls became mysterious puzzles that nobody understood for centuries. The last hieroglyphic inscription ever found was a religious text by priest Esmet Akom in Philae Temple, written around 394 AD. This priest was among the last who knew how to read and write hieroglyphics. Historians say the day Philae Temple closed was the day Egypt's ancient gods fell silent, beginning a new era and new identity for Egyptians with Christianity's emergence. As for the ancient Egyptian language itself, it was written in several systems. Hieroglyphics, the sacred complex writing carved on temple walls used by priests' hieratic script. The priests' cursive writing with ink on papyrus and demotic, the people's script used in daily transactions. During the Roman period, Coptic writing emerged, using Greek letters instead of hieroglyphics and demotic. This was the final form of ancient Egyptian language writing. Here's something incredible to understand. Hieroglyphics, hieratic, demotic, and Coptic aren't different languages. They're writing systems for one language, ancient Egyptian. During the Roman period, Coptic writing with Greek letters prevailed, and old writing forms were gradually forgotten over centuries. But the ancient Egyptian language itself remained spoken, with its last form known as the Coptic language, still used in Coptic Christian churches and prayers today, though influenced over time by Greek and Roman vocabulary. With the Islamic conquest of Egypt during the 7th century, Arabic gradually replaced Coptic over the centuries. It's said Coptic remained spoken until the 18th century. So, there you have it, fellow time travellers. The mysterious disappearance of ancient Egypt wasn't a sudden catastrophe, but a gradual transformation spanning centuries. From foreign invasions to religious transformations, from forgotten scripts to new identities, we've witnessed how one of humanity's greatest civilizations slowly faded into history. What do you think about this incredible journey? Could ancient Egypt have survived if events had unfolded differently? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Ancient Mystery for more mind-blowing historical discoveries. In our next episode, we'll travel to another lost civilization that will leave you speechless. Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and never stop seeking the truth hidden